Hello and welcome back to the Hasbushan YouTube channel. It is Harry here, and today it is time for a video which, if you know me in any way, shape or form, you would have anticipated this to come at some point, considering how much of an interest I have in this particular sphere. From FIFA 2003 until FIFA 20, I played every single iteration of the yearly release by EA on some console, barring FIFA 2005 and FIFA 11, although I haven't purchased FIFA 21 because nothing will have changed from last year and EA are a company. However, it played a huge part in my teenage years as I spent many hours playing it, and as a result of this, I became extremely interested in the soundtracks, more specifically why the songs were there and what purposes they served. And they also formed my music taste for about 4 years because I was really narrow-minded. Although there has been a decline in the soundtrack quality in recent years owing to the dearth of more unknown indie songs which are so prevalent during the soundtrack's so-called golden age, they still manage to find some hidden gems each and every year. With all this in mind, I went through every single FIFA soundtrack and picked out my favourite song from each one, although it is worth bearing in mind that I use the word favourite and not the word best, because quality of course is subjective, but I'm just picking the songs which I enjoyed the most from that particular soundtrack, so you can't say to me that this song is better than this song, it's just which one I like the most. I must give 3 quick disclaimers before we start. 1. This video concerns every FIFA from FIFA 98, as the first 4 had generic rock or trance songs which were written specifically for the game and not actual songs by proper artists. 2. In order to avoid copyright infringements, I'm not going to play any snippets of any of the songs I mentioned during the course of this video, although a playlist containing all of the songs which I mentioned in this video will be linked in the description down below. 3. This list only concerns the main series, so FIFA Street, Volta and World Cup and Euro spin-off games are disregarded. With all that out of the way, here is my list of my favourite songs from each and every FIFA soundtrack all the way back to FIFA 98. FIFA 98, Song 2 by Blur. The early FIFA games had very few songs in comparison to the later ones, and just 7 featured on the first game to have a soundtrack, with 4 by British big beat band The Crystal Method alone. It is one of 2 rock-influenced tracks on the game, however, in the shape of Blur's Song 2, which stands head and shoulders above the others, for what I hope are pretty obvious reasons. One of Blur's most famous songs, its starkly contrasting moods and emotions, memorable riff, and association with the number 2 make it a classic, and certainly a great song for a FIFA soundtrack, hence why it takes FIFA 98's crown. FIFA 99, The Rockefeller Skank by Fatboy Slim. All of the songs on this game had a big beat or techno feel, and whilst God Within by Raincry is decent, and Rude Boy Rock by Lion Rock combines rock with beat with some success, there was only one song that could take it for FIFA 99. Fatboy Slim made an appearance on the game with his track The Rockefeller Skank, and it has a character, a personality, and an infectious melody and vocal sample which does the job perfectly. Easily the most well-known song on the game, but also my personal favourite. FIFA 2000, Stop the Rock by Apollo 440. Robbie Williams made an appearance on this game with It's Only Us on the sole condition that his beloved Port Vale would be put onto the game, a condition which was accepted, but whilst that song is good, it doesn't compare to Apollo 444's Stop the Rock. Another big beat song, surprise surprise, the opening riff is heavily inspired by the riff from Caroline by Status Quo, and this rock influence rubs off perfectly onto the song to create a groove and a half. Undoubtedly, the lyrics are there to be crowd pleasers and nothing more, but it's such a satisfying thing to just shout "What's alright?" for no reason whatsoever. Trust me, it's great. FIFA 2001, Body Rock by Moby. Originally released as the 3rd single from his album Play, which also contains the GCC music classic Why Does My Heart Feel So Bad, Moby's managers attempted to convince him that he shouldn't include it on the album, as it sounded way too much like a Fatboy Slim track, and whilst Moby admitted the similarities himself, which are quite obvious, he said that the track held a special place to him anyway, so he included it on the album regardless. Considering Big Beat was still well and truly in the zeitgeist at this point, it was highly likely that a song like this would end up on FIFA, and sure enough, here it was on FIFA 2001, but only 5 other tracks would feature alongside it in the game, meaning I had slim pickings to choose from. Even so, Body Rock still wins out. FIFA 2002, 19-2000, the Soul Child remix by Gorillaz. Truth be told, this song shouldn't really exist, as Gorillaz' slogan has always been to reject false icons and not submit to the pop charts, even though of course many of their songs, such as Clint Eastwood and Feel Good Inc., have charted extremely high on the charts, and of course this song as well, or the original of this song 19-2000, which hit number 6 back in 2001. In spite of this, they sent off their eponymous debut album to producers Soul Child and asked them to make a pop-like remix of one of the songs on it, and they chose 19-2000 since Jamie Hewlett, who of course is the artistic director of the band, was making the video for 19-2000 at that point. It was a landmark song for the FIFA soundtrack though, as it was the first non-big beat or grunge rock song to feature on a FIFA soundtrack, even being made the anthem for FIFA 2002. To be fair, Soulchild did an amazing job with what they set out to do, and there was a phrase where I listened to this absolutely non-stop, so no other track was going to feature for FIFA 2002. FIFA 2003, To Get Down, Fatboy Slim remix by Timo Maz. FIFA 2003 was the first FIFA that I ever owned, as I had it on the Game Boy Advance and the PlayStation 1, and this song played during the opening cutscene on the console editions, with a really compressed and shortened edition of the song being one of just 3 to make it onto the Game Boy version. Fatboy Slim makes his second appearance on this list with his iconic remix of To Get Down by Timo Maz, and it provides one of the perfect backdrops to hype you up pre-match. A Pablo La Rosa remix of Avril Lavigne's Complicated and Dynamite by Miss Dynamite do stand out very prominently in my mind as honourable mentions, but they miss out to Fatboy Slim and what remains his last appearance on the FIFA soundtrack to date. FIFA 2004, Jerk It Out by Caesars. The number of songs jumped significantly from 13 on FIFA 2003 to 28 for FIFA 2004, featuring the likes of Kasabian, Kings of Leon and Lost Prophets, although that inclusion doesn't look particularly good in hindsight considering their lead singer is now in jail for being a nonce. However, Jerk It Out is just one of those songs which you instantaneously hear and think that it is absolutely perfect for a FIFA game, and sure enough, EA agreed with that notion and included it on FIFA 2004. The organ riff and the song's overall sound are just so unique, and there's no way that I can envisage a list of this ilk without this song on it. FIFA 2005, Fit But You Know It by The Streets. Whilst Take Your Mama by Scissor Sisters is decent, Fit But You Know It by The Streets is an anthem which perfectly reflects a lad's holiday gone wrong, and it's something which I've gelled with ever since first listen. Part of one of my favourite albums of all time, namely A Grand Don't Come For Free, which was released in 2004, the protagonist attempts to chat up a lady in a chip shop who he finds, obviously, quite attractive, but spectacularly fails, although he remains unremorseful of his actions despite the fact that, during this time, he is actually taken. I love the instrumental with its driving and chugging guitars and drums, which only serve to add to its inherent Britishness and comedy value, and combined with Mike Skinner's inimitable vocals, this made the song a walk-in at top spots for me. FIFA 06, Helicopter by Block Party. This is widely regarded as one of the best FIFA songs of all time, if not the best, and it isn't hard to hear why. Helicopter is fast-paced, intense, and full of attitude, with alleged political undertones targeting society as a whole and the US administration from a teenage point of view, adding a whole new level to it. It trumps the other songs from that FIFA, and perhaps any other FIFA game, by a landslide in terms of its musicality and quality, although it is worth noting that I do love the song Cobra Style by Teddy Bears as well, which would have won on almost any other FIFA, but not this one as a result of Helicopter's presence on the game. FIFA 07, Supermassive Black Hole by Muse. The most popular song from FIFA 07 makes it onto this list, as Muse's Supermassive Black Hole is one of those songs which just sticks in your head really easily. Peaking at number 4 in the UK upon its release, this song was described by the band themselves as different from anything else that they had done, but it has the glam of a traditional Muse song mixed brilliantly with electronic, hip-hop and dance influences. NME voted it as the 74th best song of the previous 15 years in 2011, and for such a song to be put onto FIFA, I can't really say much more than that. FIFA 08, Far 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 by Data Rock. Goodbye Mr. A by the Hoosiers and Monster by the Automatic are, obviously, absolute classics, but I've decided to deviate off course a little bit and plump for a song which I rediscovered recently owing to my podcast co-host bringing it up during the show a few months back. Data Rock is a Norwegian electro-pop rock band who perform only in red tracksuits, and Far 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 is one of their best songs by a mile, with its groovy disco sound complemented by an amazing bass line. And for those who know me, you'll know that I am a sucker for a good bass line. There's so much going on, but it all comes together so cohesively, and whilst I didn't listen to it that much on the original game, I've retrospectively realised how good it is. Fun fact for you all, Data Rock are the only group or musician to feature on 3 main FIFA soundtracks in a row, as after this came True Stories on FIFA 09 and Give It Up on FIFA 10, although they are yet to make another appearance on a FIFA soundtrack since. FIFA 09, Kids by MGMT. This is my personal favourite FIFA soundtrack, and in almost any other year, songs like Olympic Airways by Foles, Butter by the Bloody Beetroots, the aforementioned True Stories by Data Rock, Black and Gold by Sam Sparrow, and Lights and Music by Cut Copy would win, and that's just scratching the surface. In the end, I've gone with Kids by MGMT, which many of you will know as it became a chart hit in February 2009, 4 months after FIFA 09's release, and it is featured in many programmes such as American Teen, The Vampire Diaries, and Survivors. It has a youthful charm to it, and despite its simple harmonic progression, its synth riff is undeniably catchy, and the instrumental breakdown is really cool. By far the toughest selection, I don't think I'm happy with my choice, but I'm sticking with it for now. FIFA 10, Hold the Line by Major Lazer. Surprisingly, considering how much I love FIFA 09 soundtrack, FIFA 10 actually plays host to one of my least favourite soundtracks in the entire franchise's history, as there aren't a myriad of highlights from it, and the one that I've picked probably wouldn't have won on any other FIFA game had it been on it. What that doesn't mean to say, of course, is that I dislike the song that I have picked, and although Head Straight by Alex Metric was my original choice, I then remembered that Hold the Line by Major Lazer existed right at the last minute, and so decided to include that because I prefer the song. Everyone of course knows who Major Lazer are, but this was released before they made it big and maintains an electro reggae feel throughout, with vocals from Santigold and Lexus backing up the song brilliantly. They would make an appearance on FIFA 20 with Kid Kalor featuring J Balvin and El Alpha, which I do really like and prefer to Hold the Line, but I also find this song quite funny considering it stays on one chord throughout almost the entire duration of the song, so I decided to pick it for FIFA 10. FIFA 11, Rhinestone Eyes by Gorillaz. Although Blackout by Linkin Park did actually win an award for Best Video Game Song in 2010 or 2011, I can't quite remember which one off the top of my head, it is Rhinestone Eyes by Gorillaz, my favourite band of all time, which I have picked, meaning that Damon Albarn makes his third appearance on this list. Rhinestone Eyes was taken from the absolutely fantastic album Plastic Beach, and is one of the only songs on it to feature no collaborations, meaning that it of course is centred on the virtual vocalist 2D. His vocals, which comment on the state of the environment and how everything is going wrong with it, are almost more spoken word than anything else, but even though the high-pitched slides can be a little bit jarring from time to time, it still maintains a relaxed enough feel to lull you into the song. Although it isn't the best song on Plastic Beach, far from it in fact, which does admittedly say a lot about how amazing that album is, it is still the best song on FIFA 11, or my personal favourite song from that soundtrack, so of course it features in this video. FIFA 12, Machu Picchu by The Strokes. This is the FIFA which kick-started my long-standing subservience to the franchise, so the soundtrack had to live up to the billing, and boy did it, with No Problem by Chasing Status, Call It What You Want by Foster the People, Latino and Proud by DJ Raf, and Open Your Eyes by Alex Metric and Steve Angelo being very good standouts. Even though it was really close, the song which just about takes it for me is Machu Picchu by The Strokes, as I love its opening riff, Julian Casablancas' vocals, the guitar work on the bridge, the chorus, and the blend of the modern rock and older funk/disco feel, which the song has. It introduced me to one of my favourite alternative rock bands, and it came 29th in my list which I did on my website of my 100 favourite songs, ahead of any other FIFA 12 representative, so with all that considered, a song named after the Peruvian mountain is the victor. FIFA 13, Finale by Madeon. Professional Griefers by Deadmau5 featuring Gerard Way came close, but Madeon makes his first, but not last, appearance in this video with a song which well and truly put him on the map in Finale, which was produced when he was just 17. The song also features Nicolas Petrica of Walk the Moon fame on vocals, a band who would also feature on the FIFA 13 soundtrack with the song Quesadilla. There aren't too many songs which I think are more tailor-made for me personally than this, as it is multi-layered, it has a deep and well thought through soundscape, and it has a fantastic melody line in the chorus/drop, dependent on which terminology or jargon you wish to use. Madeon is one of my favourite musicians, and this is one of his finest songs, so was it ever in doubt that I would pick it? No. Not really. FIFA 14, Ratchet by Block Party. If I don't mention Funky Futurista by Ilya Kuriaki and the Valderramas at some stage, my friend will get very angry at me, but whilst it is an honourable mention, as is The City by the 1975 and everyone's favourite Love Me Again by John Newman, it is the song Ratchet which takes it for FIFA 14, in my opinion. The game holds a special place to me as it was the first FIFA which I overplayed, and the soundtrack is solid all around, but Ratchet has just such a FIFA sound to it, indie rock, grimy vocals and chugging guitars, which I absolutely love. When I think of Block Party, FIFA immediately comes to mind, and that isn't a bad thing at all, as this song epitomizes. FIFA 15, Imperium by Madeon. This is a soundtrack which is regarded by many as one of, if not the, best in the last 10 years, and maybe even the last great soundtrack to date, and there are plenty of highlights, from The Nights by Avicii to 16 Years by the Griswolds, but it's another feature for Madeon atop all others. A song which was put onto FIFA prior to its official release by a couple of weeks or so, Imperium is a progressive EDM instrumental with a myriad of soundscapes adding to its experimentation, and Madeon has stated himself that it represents a transition between the two stages, which you can clearly make out when you hear the song. I just love the interconnectedness of all the sections and how they all build to the end climax, so therefore Imperium just about takes the crown, although I know that this is a very controversial choice. FIFA 16, ID by Kygo. Although Way Down We Go by Kaleo is a classic, and Hangin' by Bastille fits FIFA's style perfectly, my choice is a song which didn't originally have a name, but was given the name ID completely arbitrarily and with no ulterior purpose. Released in 2015 as the official anthem to the Ultra Music Festival for that year, the song is your standard Kygo tropical house laid-back song, and it has a lovely piano melody twinned with various electronic effects which add to its atmosphere and ambience. Even though it doesn't take any risks, that's what I love about it the most, its blissful simplicity, and it's one of very few Kygo songs which work better without vocals than with, as was proven when ID was turned into the song Here For You, featuring Ella Henderson. The original instrumental was the one that was put onto FIFA, thankfully, and EA, for once, made the right choice. FIFA 17, Shelter by Porter Robinson and Madeon. For the second consecutive FIFA, Bastille get a mention with Send Them Off, as does Kygo with Ragin' featuring Codaline, but I had to go with my personal favourite song which has ever been put onto a FIFA soundtrack, by the name of Shelter. Porter Robinson and Madeon are two heavyweights of the EDM world, and close friends, with this being the only collaboration between the two to date, and it combines the synth-pop sound of Madeon and the anime-influenced future bass ideas of Robinson. The drop just has such an amazing soundscape to it, which the melody line consisting of vocal chopping only adds to, but in reality, I just love everything about this amazing song. No wonder it came 7th in my 100 favourite songs list. With all that in mind, there was absolutely no possibility that I was ever going to leave this out, meaning that Madeon joins Damon Albarn as the only two musicians to feature 3 times in this video. FIFA 18, Supercut by Lorde. The flagship song to this game's soundtrack, Energy by Avellino, as well as Mean Demeanor by Run the Jewels, who are probably my favourite hip hop group at the moment, almost made it, but I've gone a bit rogue and picked Lorde's Supercut. Taken from her critically acclaimed sophomore album Melodrama, Supercut is one of the standout songs from it, with the standard theme of running through old memories of a lost relationship made even more personal by Lorde's vocals, the fantastic production by Jack Antonoff, and the layering of the instruments. Surprisingly enough, songs by women weren't actually a regular feature on the FIFA soundtracks until the early 2010s, but now, thankfully, there is a lot more female representation, which I can only praise, especially if they keep on picking songs like this one. FIFA 19, Tom and Jerry by Ocean Wisdom. Artists ranging from Billie Eilish and Peggy Gou to Gorillaz and Logic would appear on this soundtrack, which had a heavy focus on rap songs, and 2 of them, namely Tribe by Baz featuring J. Cole and Tom and Jerry by Ocean Wisdom, are the 2 main contenders for the title of My Favourite Song from FIFA 19. If push came to shove, I'd pick Tom and Jerry, as I love the Wu-Tang inspired beat and its laid-back nature, which allows Ocean Wisdom to seamlessly switch between flows and styles, including a speed rap section which lasts for about 15 seconds. Even though a lot of it is centered on the game owing to its PEGI 3 regulation, which doesn't make any sense considering the game literally encourages child gambling, but that's a different video for a different time. When put on its own, the song is fantastic, and it introduced me to one of my favourite rappers at the moment, so it just about takes it over Tribe. FIFA 20, Zulu Screams by Goldlink featuring Malik Berry and Bibi Bureli. Foals deserve an honourable mention with their fantastic song The Runner, with Where and When by P Money featuring Giggs, another personal favourite, but Zulu Screams is just a phenomenal song, and its appearance in this video was never in doubt. Goldlink is quite a versatile rapper, with a blend of jazz, soul, hardcore and funk in his music, but Zulu Screams is primarily an Afrobeat song which never fails to brighten up my mood. Featuring a sample of a Zulu scream at the start of the song, Malik Berry on the chorus, Bibi Bureli singing a bridge in Lingala, a regional language of the Congo, and just a fantastic drum beat and instrumental, everything comes together for a 3-minute classic. FIFA 21, Stop This Flame by Celeste. This is the first FIFA since FIFA 11 that I have not owned in some capacity, meaning that it is difficult to judge the songs based on hearing them in-game. But in the end, although Tame Impala's Is It True is a standout, I decided to go with Stop This Flame by Celeste. An up-and-coming singer who won the Rising Star Award at the 2020 Brit Awards, Stop This Flame is a jazz-inspired R&B track with hints of pop, rock and soul thrown in for good measure, and I think it would definitely put me in a match-ready mindset if I were to actually play the game. Sky must have thought the same as me, as they currently use it as their introduction song to their Premier League coverage of games on Saturdays and Sundays, and when I realised that it was this song, I was immediately hooked upon hearing it in full. So that's it for every single FIFA soundtrack's best song, but I thought I could also give my top 10 across all the soundtracks just to round off the video. It was really tough to narrow down, but in the end, I've gone with Shelter by Porter Robinson and Madeon, Fit But You Know It by The Streets, Call It What You Want by Foster the People, Machu Picchu by The Strokes, Finale by Madeon again, Tom and Jerry by Ocean Wisdom, Zulu Screams by Goldlink featuring Malik Berry and Bibi Bureli, ID by Kygo, Helicopters by Block Party, and Hanging by Bastille, with honourable mentions going to the likes of Olympic Airways by Foles, Lights and Music by Cut Copy, Kids by MGMT, Where and When by P Money featuring Giggs, and Imperium by Medeon, alongside obviously a plethora of others. That just about concludes today's video on my favourite songs from every single FIFA soundtrack since FIFA 98, and I really do hope that you've enjoyed it. As I mentioned at the start, if you want to listen to any of the songs personally, a playlist will be left in the description with all of the songs that I mentioned in this video featuring in it. And whilst you are there, please do hit the like button because I really do appreciate it, and subscribe while you're at it. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then.